All right, let's talk about the number one recruit in the country. Jackson Cantwell picks the Miami Hurricanes. This was stuck for me. I had some good trolls lined up for this, but it doesn't go my way, and Georgia doesn't get it done. I don't know, Cole. We can I don't know who wants to take this.
I'll let
We
Tom
can
go first.
bounce around either way.
I've been crazy for the last 20 minutes.
We both have. This has been a great show so far. Yeah, I just found this whole thing very interesting. So last year, the class 2025 was ranked 13th overall, according to 24/7 Sports for Miami. And then as of now, the number 9 class for 2026. So clearly, Mario Cristobal and company doing a very good job recruiting. They continue to do a good job in the transfer portal. This is clearly a program that is not hurting for funding and NIL support, all that sort of stuff. Here's the thing, and going back to the aforementioned ACC meetings, there's a story out there that there was a loud yell of joy that came down the hallways when Mario Cristobal and his staff learned that Cantwell had committed to Miami. The last time I can think of a reaction like that was Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Day. We remember him collapsing at the podium. Like, there are very few players at the high school level that really garner a huge reaction from coaches, and very few that we actually get to see on camera or at least recorded or reported of some kind. So obviously there's a lot of buzz about Cantwell. Looking in a variety of different places, depending on where you look, 24/7 Sports has him listed at 6'7.5", 325 pounds. I've seen some that say he's closer to 300 pounds. It's the big question mark of putting that much money down for a kid coming out of high school, period. And Michigan is about to go through that, granted, at quarterback, which I'd argue is a higher risk, bigger gamble because of the significance of the position. But outside of that, we talk about it, the NFL model all the time. What are the next positions that you pay? You pay your left tackle and you pay your pass rusher. Okay. So if Cantwell is maybe going to be a starter day one, like, do they think enough of him that he could do that? And can he reclassify and get himself there quickly? Like, all those sorts of questions being out there. It's still a huge transition for an offensive lineman from the high school level to the college level, especially the ACC, which is not obviously the SEC or the Big Ten, but you're still going to face some really good competition. Maybe he has success because of that whenever he first hits the field. The learning curve, the physical learning curve as well, is enormous for offensive linemen. So I'm just kind of wait and see on this whole thing. I think this is a departure in this whole grand NIL experiment of, we've talked about the Underwood money, the Nico money, and now Cantwell money. It's, it's migrating from quarterback to tackle. When's that going to be for a pass rusher? When's that going to be for a wide receiver? That sort of stuff. So the jury is still very much out for me with Cantwell, and that's like, great. He's the greatest offensive line prospect ever. Love to hear what a senior for the Miami Hurricanes thinks about that, lining up opposite him. Is like, I'm going to light this guy up, that sort of thing. So he's going to have to compete. He's going to have to learn. I don't think it's a slam dunk at all. Too many things can happen.
There has been so much said from multiple sides about the entire situation, whether it's how much he is getting paid by Miami to go not play in the Big Ten or in the SEC, whether it be Cantwell saying that Pete Nakos doesn't know what he's talking about, whether it be the fact that Miami is paying for a player that they could probably get multiple versions of him and use that money elsewhere. Whatever it is, I'm here to set the record straight. Number one, anybody complaining about him getting paid, whatever the actual amount is, stop talking. Seriously, stop talking, because of money is always going to be a deciding factor in so many different facets. I love working with you guys. I absolutely appreciate the fact that we get to come on here and shoot the breeze and have good conversations about college football. But if ESPN calls me tomorrow and says, hey, you can't go with Tom and TJ, but we're going to give you $280 million to go be on your own show, I'm going to take it. Because you want to know why? Money talks. And so if money is going to talk at a place like Georgia, and if money is going to talk at a place like Michigan, and if money is going to talk at a place like SMU in the future for how much they have in Dallas, or Texas, or LSU, it should be a lot of talk in Miami. Miami was willing to open the bag and say, here, Jackson Cantwell, go become our blindside protector for the next 3 to 5 years. Hopefully you'll end up transitioning into one of the greatest All-American offensive linemen that we've seen, and you'll eventually bring in more talent to surround us because of that's what we do here. And they're willing to spend the money in that right location. You're just pissed off that it was at Miami. And it's not at Georgia, and it's not at LSU, and it's not at Bama, and it's not it's not Michigan. Well, if those programs can go after it, then why can't Miami? The part that people don't want to admit to right now is that Miami is not a great program still. It's a solid program turning the corner, but it hasn't been back to the level of consistency since the early 2000s. And they still talk about it like they want to be at that vicinity. They still talk about that we are one of the greatest. The U carries so much weight. Well, the U doesn't, because if it did, recruits wouldn't be turning down Miami to go to Georgia or LSU or TCU or USC or Michigan State or Ohio State. They'd be looking at the U as a prominent program. So the fact that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is, I think speaks incredible volume. But at the same time, this doesn't put any pressure on Jackson Cantwell, in my opinion, to live up to expectations. It puts more pressure on Mario Cristobal because of at what point do you realize, hey, you're recruiting at a high level, you're bringing in the right talents, it's clear that we have an identity on what we're trying to target, but they're not developing. We're still finishing 10-2 in ACC play. We're still losing these signature matches because of inept defensive performances or inadequate quarterback play. So there's so many other things that go on with this program that I think puts pressure on Mario Cristobal than it does on the fact of Jackson Cantwell having to get paid this amount by one school. Do I think it would matter if he went to Georgia? Do I think that it would matter if he went to Alabama or Michigan or Ohio State and he would still have the same results? Probably, or at least he would enter the year with the same type of trajectory. But now it's about making sure that he is properly developed. Now it's about making sure that he is properly refined. Now it's about making sure that he actually lives up to that $7 million, $5 million, whatever it is type of contract. But still, please spare me with the, oh, this isn't a money thing. It's been a money in the world of college football for decades. Decades. I heard somebody, and I'm not going to call him out, but I have heard somebody talk about an SEC school wanting to stay in the Big 12 because of, they would have had an opportunity to win a conference title. They're getting paid a surplus to go 8-4 in the SEC. I don't think that they hate that SEC money, to say the least, because of that SEC brand carries so much weight to where they wouldn't have that type of location in the Big 12. So those little things that count. Money does speak at the end of the day. And money spoke when it came to the situation. Jackson Cantwell is going down to Coral Gables because of money was the deciding factor. That doesn't mean that it was the wrong move for Jackson Cantwell. And if anything, it could end up being the wrong move for Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I have no problem with Miami paying up. If you want to, and I don't even know if the right word is overpay or reset the market or whatever, but if you want to go above what Georgia or Oregon or Ohio State are willing to do, and that lands you a prospect, then great. I mean, we see that in the world all the time where, a CEO is considering, I was a recruiter before getting into this full time. We would have to outbid for guys at times, right? Like we would have to pay up. Now, we've not seen it in college football. It's different in this sport, but this is not like an insane thing. Well, what is Brady's deal with Fox? If CBS doubled it, he'd be gone tomorrow. Like this is not a controversial thing unless it happens with our favorite sports teams, right? Because it's a new thing here. But if the Lakers were going to offer just whomever, right? $10 million more to play. Like that person's going to LA. And so it's not even uncommon in sports. It's just uncommon in college sports because it's new, right? And so that's why we get upset about it. Now, there are rules in the NBA and NFL, and would I prefer the college model to get there so that you're not overpaying by $2 million, right? There really shouldn't, in my opinion, be a scenario where Miami has the ability to pay $2 million more than Georgia or someone else. And not necessarily the ability, because if Georgia wanted to pay, could they? Sure, whatever. But just, I would like some guardrails around it to kind of bring some more reason into it. But that's more of a preference thing. At the end of the day, if Miami wants to pay more, then that's totally on them. And I don't blame the kid at all. I will say this too. I think money was the ultimate thing that pushed them over the edge. Alex Mirabal is a really good developer of offensive linemen, and they have done a good job. And so, like, I think it's to the Miami fans that want to say money had nothing to do with it, and the Georgia fans that want to say money had everything to do with it. There's a middle ground here. And I know that that's maybe not the best for podcasting or social media. Like, it's better to have a hot take. Alex Mirabal might be the best offensive line coach in the country, and he got the most money to go to Miami. If my kid was a 6'7" offensive lineman that was the number one recruit in the country. Yeah, it would be unfortunate, but he'd be at Miami too. Like, let's just be honest. You're going to pay me more money and you're going to give me a better chance at development. Yeah, I'm going there right now. Does he have a better chance to win a national title at Georgia than he does Miami? Probably. But I don't, does that matter to kids? Like, you're going to give me more money and then you're going to set me up for my future and still give me a pretty good shot to compete for titles being in the ACC. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that 10 times out of 10, right? And so I don't blame the kid. I think there's nuance to a lot of the stuff. Again, I think money made a massive impact here. I think if Georgia offers what Miami offers and Miami offers what Georgia offers, he's probably going to Georgia, right? But I don't think he made a bad decision. He didn't go, he didn't go to Florida State, right? Who has no track record of development. And I like Herb Hand there as a new offensive line coach, but he didn't go to a Florida State, right? That's coming off a 2-10 for money alone. He still went to a place with pretty elite offensive line development. And so if he'd have gone to a place like FSU, coming off a terrible season for money alone, would I be happy? Sure. But do I think he made the best decision long-term for his career and just kind of not a short-sighted decision on money only? Yeah, I'd probably question his long-term thinking on that. But Miami does a really good job with, and Mirabel specifically, does a really good job with offensive line. And so, yeah, I don't think this is a bad decision by him at all. We will see what the dividends pay for Miami. Did they maybe overpay and could have used resources other places? And would that have been better for their roster long-term? Proof will be in the pudding on that. But as far as the kid goes, I got no problem with his decision other than being a Miami hater. But, removing myself from that, I got no problems with his decision. He's making more money. I think he has the best developer of his choices at offensive line coach. And I think he sets himself up for the future and the present, current money and future money by committing to Miami. And that's a tough pill to swallow for me, but I don't know. I feel like that's pretty transparent and honest.
Two major things. Number one, look back at Miami's offensive line and look back at Georgia's offensive line last year. Georgia's offensive line was far from away the usual standard that we're used to seeing in Athens. Miami's offensive line was as advertised. So that's a huge selling point for me. And number two, TJ brought this up. He's not going to Iowa State. He's not going to Kansas State. He's not going to Kansas, or he's not going to Baylor, or he's not going to Syracuse, or he's not going to Boston College. These schools that maybe are willing to throw $7 million at one player and then say, oh, well, we didn't do this for the money. We did this for the ambiance of bringing home a kid that we believe can be a difference maker. He's going to a prime location that has the money, the allocations, and the history of saying, we know how to turn out offensive linemen. We're willing to go ahead and offer you what we think that you're worth.
Is that all we got on that? Is that all we got on Miami?
Well, I'm gonna let recruiting when it comes to linemen. I've learned this from my co-host Justin King. Collect big people and see if it works out. We have no idea if this guy's going to work out. He could just be a big kid. That's it.
Honestly, the fact that we had a conversation about a wide receiver getting paid $3 million. Sorry, I can find a wide receiver anywhere. I may have some struggles finding the right offensive lineman long term. I'm willing to pay that price.
Mm-hmm. I like the pickup for Miami. I don't like it for me personally. I like the pickup for Miami. We'll see what happens. Again, I don't think anybody is a sure thing. Maybe Jeremiah Smith was the closest to a sure thing, but very few kids are. I think this was a good pickup for Miami. We'll find out in a year or two.